Hey everyone, it's Josh here. Here is my official and honest review of Citadelle des Morts. But before we get into the review, I have to go over some of the changes that were made in between the release of Black Ops 6 and Citadelle des Morts. The Mangler spawns have finally been nerfed, and actually by a noticeable amount. This makes not only high rounds more bearable, but just playing casually so much better. Another thing that was changed that the community was dying for were vermin rounds. If you guys don't know, vermin rounds past round 30 ended up lasting longer than the zombie rounds. They would spawn 2 at a time for the entire round. Now, most of the vermin spawn all at once, and this can actually be quite a challenge. I enjoy these rounds a lot more than I did previously, but my only question is, why did this even take so long to change? It was something the community wanted and asked for, and then Treyarch decides to fix months after the game comes out. I played the tutorial mode, and it is super bare bones. I'm not sure if this would really do anything for a new player, and after playing, I'm still not sure. Another question I have is, why did this not come out at launch? It seems super weird that they would wait over a month to drop a tutorial mode for a game. I can imagine that the simple answer is that it just wasn't finished, but even then, it still feels a little weird. Another change you might have noticed when first spawning in is that you now spawn with the first 3 gobblegums in your gobblegum pack, and I think this feature is just alright. The plus is that it makes me use gobblegums more than I was before, but with no classics, I still don't really have a point in using them. And now I will be going over the new features that they've added into this update. Tesla Storm is just kind of mid. It is something that we saw in Cold War, and I was hoping with the augments it might be a little better than it was previously. But unfortunately, with the augments, it still does nothing to make Tesla Storm stand out. We got 3 new gobblegums this season, with 1 returning and 2 new ones. Power Keg, which is the returning gobblegum, spawns a full power power-up. Timeout, which stops all the zombies from spawning for 3 minutes. And Holiday Cheer, which is a whimsical gobblegum, which gives zombies holiday clothing. I like the gobblegums that we got this season. Full Power is something that was a given, but Timeout is actually a really interesting gobblegum, which I'm sure will be used in interesting ways. Vulture's Aid is a perk that we haven't seen since Black Ops 2 buried, but this perk just makes so much sense for Black Ops 6. One of the main things that Vulture's Aid did in Black Ops 2 was drop stuff on the ground like ammo and points. And what does Black Ops 6 zombies do best? Well, they love to drop stuff on the ground. So in this game, Vulture's Aid gives you ammo, points, but will also give you increased salvage drop. This is huge for Black Ops 6, when salvage is a hard resource to come by. And the augments for this perk are very good, with even one of the augments being used in a high round strategy. The light ammo mod, surprisingly enough, is new to the series. It does a little blast when activated, and drops a drop on the ground that once picked up, heals you up a little bit. The light damage type is super effective against the new enemy, the Doppelgast. I like how unique this ammo mod feels compared to the others. It feels like there's more utility with the light ammo mod, which is a welcome change. The rest of the ammo mods just feel like a straight damage buff, and it's also nice that this isn't ripped straight from the old games and is actually a new feature. We need more new things like this in future maps. Now with every new thing added, let's get moving on to the actual map. The first thing that I want to talk about is the map layout. Citadelle des Morts' map layout is simple but effective. When you spawn, you have 2 options. You go left or you go right. With both options, after a couple door buys, it will lead you to the courtyard of the castle. Once you make it to the castle, you have to use the cannon to open the front door to make it inside. Again, once you make it inside the castle, you have another option. Go left or go right. If you go left, you'll make it into the stamina up room, while if you go right, you will go to the sword altar room, and if you keep going straight, you'll eventually make it to the Pack-a-Punch. Your fast travel locations on this map are from the Pack-a-Punch to spawn, from spawn to the front of the castle, and then from the castle walls to the spawn room. I like how this map doesn't have a fast travel location to the Pack-a-Punch. It forces you, every time you need to go Pack-a-Punch, to run through the castle. If you have to Pack-a-Punch mid-round, it could be quite a challenge to make through, but at the same time, it also doesn't feel unfair. This is a concept that many maps in zombies have failed to balance. And if you really want to fast travel to open up inside the castle, you can optionally do a side Easter egg to rotate the cannon to shoot you inside the castle to the sword room. The incantations are a new tactical grenade introduced in this map. To unlock these, you need to have the swords. For example, if you want the Void incantation, you'll need the Void sword. Each of these have a 2-step mini quest that once completed will give you the incantation and will also spawn them around the map in little crates. And in these crates, you can pick them up frequently enough so that you actually are incentivized to use them. This map also introduces 2 new types of traps, the oil trap and the point of power trap. First, going into the oil trap, they are located inside the front gates of the castle. Once you activate them, oil will be spilled down onto the front gate, killing all zombies that walk through. A cool thing that you can do with this trap is if you use fire to ignite the oil to do extra damage. You can use a Molotov, you can use the fire sword, anything that has fire will ignite the oil. The second trap on this map is the point of power. If you remember the Ring of Fire specials from Cold War, this is essentially what it is in trap form. When you are inside this trap, your weapons do extra damage and have unlimited ammo. There are multiple locations of this point of power trap, and they are scattered all along the map. Both of the traps on this map are super unique, with them being more interactive traps rather than just turning them on and it just kills all the zombies. The oil trap is something I honestly don't use too much, but the point of power on the other hand is a trap that I use super often and is also used in the high round strategy for this map. When this map launched, the swords were not good. They were only able to kill one zombie, their charged attack just took too long to use, and they generally felt clunky to use. So after constant tweets, after constant messaging, Treyarch has finally heard our cries, and about a month after launch of this map, we finally got the buffs for the swords. But how does it feel to use the swords in present day? Well, I think the sword changes are fine. I don't think they're great. I don't think it's what the community wanted. With the upgraded swords, you are now able to kill 2 zombies per swipe instead of 1. And they made individual changes to each of the swords, which I won't go into, but most of them got a cooldown decrease. Now onto the actual feelings of the swords. They feel good. The first sword being Durandal, or the lightning sword. The lightning sword with its charged attack shoots out a big lightning beam that stuns and then kills the zombies. Caliburn, or the fire sword, when using its charged attack, will shoot 3 big blasts of fire at the zombies. Balamung, or the Void Sword, shoots out a mini Gersh device that sucks in all zombies in the nearby area. And Colossus, giving you a ring around you similar to the chakras at tier 3 upgrade. All of these swords are super unique in how they interact with the map, and actually in my opinion there isn't the best, since all of the swords are different, and I know people have their favorite swords, mostly being the Void and the light sword, but I actually really enjoy the lightning sword, or the Durandal one. So I think it's nice that there isn't the de facto best sword in this map. Now we have to talk about the boss enemies in this map. Having the amalgams, the parasites, and the vermin on this map is the worst thing on this map, or at least one of them. This map has a lot of unique features like the swords, the incantations, the fast travels, the traps. Everything feels unique except the boss zombies. I swear, in the next map, if they have returning boss zombies, especially from Cold War, I might just lose it. I have nothing else to say other than just feeling super lazy on Treyarch's end, and this will massively hurt the replayability of this map or future maps if this continues. But hey, at least the Manglers aren't on this map. Now that we have the old boss zombies out of the way, we actually have one new boss enemy to talk about, the Doppelgast. The Doppelgast is a special zombie that is replacing the Manglers, and they have a couple new attacks. Their long range attack is a burst of spikes that stuns you and inverts the colors on your screen. The Doppelgast also has a melee attack if you get too close. The Doppelgast is a quick enemy that will dodge out of your way and purposely try to take flank routes to melee you. This boss enemy is super well designed. It doesn't have a lot of health, so it's super easy to kill, but it can overwhelm you if you let it get too close. The only issue I have is that it doesn't really fit the vibe of this map. We're in an ancient medieval castle, and we get a discount looking amalgam. It just seems like this boss enemy is meant for Terminus, but it just wasn't ready, so they had to replace it with the Manglers. Now with the gameplay out of the way, let's focus on the story of this map. Most of the radios on this map focus on Kraft. If you guys remember him from Vanguard, he was one of the main characters who had a tragic story. At the end of Vanguard, he was left without his wife, who was killed by the villain of Vanguard, Von List. So in these radios, we learn about how Kraft deals with his guilt, and eventually goes to adopt a kid in her honor. This kid that he adopted happened to be Edward Richtofen. We learn about Richtofen's early life, and how he was suffering from amnesia, and that all he can remember is his name. He has nightmares where he seems to be repeating things from the old timeline. We then learn that Kraft gets a job offer to work in America on a project called MK Ultra. He thinks that this will be a good idea for him and Richtofen to start a new life there. We also get to learn more about adult Richtofen. We get to hear about him starting up the Sam AI, and it seems up to the start that she is on his side. So now we have to ask ourselves, what side is she on? Is she on ours? Or on his. We also find out that Richtofen hired the French syndicate and Franco to torture Kraft to find out what he knows about the Sentinel artifact. He even gives him specifics on how to torture him to get that information. This shows how twisted Richtofen could become to achieve his goals, to even torture his own father. We only get one radio that actually focuses on our 4 main characters. Well, I guess only 2, Carver and Weaver. In this radio, Weaver is feeling down on himself for letting everyone get captured and almost killed. Carver then tells him to cut the crap and focus on the mission, and that putting them in prison was Richtofen's plan all along. This being the only dialogue about our 4 main characters is very sad. In Black Ops 6, we were promised a main cast of characters, which we did get, but now these characters are being sidelined for others like Kraft. Not that I hate hearing about other characters, but I want the main cast of characters to be the people we focus on. This game overall has a big problem with introducing characters into the story. Like, why is Ravenov even here? What's Peck's purpose in this map? Even Strauss. They just threw him in the helicopter just so he can be involved. They all just feel like side characters who have nothing going on and are taking away the spotlight that our other characters like Carver, Weaver, Gray, and Maya should be experiencing. And there's one more storyline that involves Maya, but other than that, this is the only thing we hear about the characters from this map. The last set of radios has to deal with the 4 bastard sons. You may know these sons as the sons that carry the 4 swords: the light, void, fire, and lightning. In these radios, Kraft talks about the 4 different sons and how they were given a task by their father, the Owl, to prove themselves worthy and take the throne. This part of the story directly leads to the main Easter egg for this map. In the main Easter egg, it involves you doing the trial that was set up for the 4 bastard sons. To complete this quest, you have to upgrade all 4 of the swords. You also have to receive the incantation for all of these swords. You then have to collect some pages and correspond those pages to the points of power traps around the map. You then have to salute the statues and do the elemental challenges for each of the swords. After completing this, you open up the secret study where you find the Owl. The Owl, who is long gone, has left a message for his sons, who were supposed to complete the challenge but never did. The Owl gives you one more task to complete before you can receive the amulet. This is to defeat the Guardian, and once you defeat the Guardian, final boss of this map, you will then receive the amulet. This then leads into the final cutscene. In this cutscene, we learn a couple things. One, that the amulet is needed to obtain the Sentinel artifact at the dig site. We also learn that Kraft is Richtofen's father, and that now, because of the zombies, Kraft is now dead. So let's break this down and explain why this ending isn't the best. If you already remember from earlier, we already knew that Kraft is Richtofen's father, so this being revealed in the final cutscene just doesn't really make sense. They could have done a couple things. They could have moved those radios to the next DLC 2 map, or they could have even pushed those radios back further on when Richtofen was fully involved in the story again. Or finally, it could have just not been revealed at all, and Kraft would have told Richtofen later on in the story if they kept him alive. Speaking of keeping him alive, why is Kraft dead now? What was the point of reintroducing Kraft as Richtofen's father if they're just going to kill him off? We will no longer be able to see the relationship between Kraft and Richtofen in the present day, and I think that is just a complete missed opportunity. I think that eventually Kraft should have died, but I feel like it would have been better if it was more of a sacrifice play rather than just dying by zombies. They could have picked 100 different directions with how Kraft died, and they somehow picked the worst one. So, with 2 out of the 3 plot points. So, what about the amulet? Well, I think the amulet as of DLC 1 is kind of pointless. Again, we're not sure what the amulet is going to do, but it just seems like we could have just skipped the Sentinel artifact in this map. It doesn't seem like the Sentinel artifact is going to be the ending of Black Ops 6. It only feels like a step. So why are we potentially making this 2 maps? So why are we making this storyline 2 maps long instead of just 1? It doesn't really make sense in my opinion, and hopefully in DLC 2, we're able to just retrieve the Sentinel artifact and move on with the story. Overall, I'm not a fan of this Easter egg story points, but I do feel like the gameplay has a lot to offer. This Easter egg reminds me a lot of Horizon Druck, and I don't mind the inspiration at all. The Easter egg is very simple to learn, and once you know how to play it, You don't need a guide or a YouTube tutorial to figure out codes, ciphers, or whatnot. And the boss fight in this map, another banger. So far, Treyarch has knocked it out of the park with amazing boss fights in BO6. Being able to parry the boss is super cool. If you're able to master this technique, it lets your friends shoot the boss zombie more easily. But one slip up on the parries, and it is game over for you. Hopefully, this becomes a trend with large-scale boss fights ending the Easter eggs, because if so, I am so here for it. I also want to mention some of the side Easter eggs as well, because I think Black Ops 6 excels at these. PhD is the only perk on this map that doesn't have a machine. So since the machine is not physically on this map, they introduced a side Easter egg to unlock this perk before round 25. There are 3 bottles that you have to pick up around the map. Once you pick up these bottles, you can go back to the tavern to start a bartending minigame. This minigame goes on for a couple minutes, and once you complete the minigame, you will get PhD. When this side Easter egg works, I think it's a very solid Easter egg, but an emphasis on the if. If you activate this side Easter egg during a round change, during a bug round, or your teammate is near, zombies just won't come to the bar at all. I don't see too many people talking about this, so I really hope it's not just a me issue. But I feel like out of the many times that I've done this Easter egg, it's only worked once or twice. Dare I say that the Maya side Easter egg is one of the coolest side Easter eggs in a long time. To do this Easter egg, you have to be Maya, and after round 10, you interact with this radio on the left side of Vulture's aid. Once interacted with, the radio will teleport you inside the catacombs where Franco, who is the syndicate leader, is hiding. After defeating multiple vermin and doppelgasts, you will get an in-game cutscene of Maya confronting and eventually killing Franco. For all of my criticisms against the main playable characters in Black Ops 6, I think this is the highlight of their progression so far. And I think other maps should include mini side Easter eggs, including just one character in the future. Maybe in the future we can get a side Easter egg where you need 2 characters. Kind of like how they did the Chaos Crew in BO4 with Bruno and Shaw on Ancient Evil. In this section, I wanted to talk about things that don't really have a section to put them in. In the castle, you can find loot crates that are shaking. If you shoot them, either a parasite will spawn, or the chest will drop 150 salvage. It's a small thing that can go unnoticed, but it is cool that the feature is there. The salute step in the main Easter egg is very cool. I'm not sure why I enjoy this so much, but I just do. Having the weapon inspect actually do something in the map is something I would have never thought an Easter egg to do, but it fully takes advantage of the new Black Ops 6 features. At the launch of BO6, when you were to pick up a full power, it would not refill your backup plates. But now, after Citadelle is launched, the full armor power-up and every single map will now not only fill your backup plates, but will also fill up your main plates. Thank God the armory is not on this map. I don't know why it was on Terminus, and I was very worried after I saw it on that map that it would continue in this one and in all future maps. But I am surprised and happy that it is not in this map, and it is exclusive to just the launch maps. Modern Zombies has an issue with keeping things exclusive to maps. Modern Zombies has an issue with keeping things exclusive to one map, and I was worried they were going to take this feature and run with it. Now, I want to talk about my small little nitpicks that I have with this map. If you pick up one of the parts of the swords before you find Kraft in the Undercroft, he will still speak with you, despite you not meeting up with him in the map, and not knowing where he's located. This map introduces a couple new SAM trials for you to do. The hand cannon and the throwing knives are 2 of these challenges, and both of them are impossible to do to this day. With the hand cannon, it makes you kill 50 zombies in around 40 seconds, and with a gun that only has 10 bullets, it is just insane. I was camping in the tavern till round 100 with one of my friends, and every time I had to rebuy perks, this one ledge would keep throwing me off. This isn't the end of the world, but it is super annoying when trying to get up to the Wonder Fizz. So, what do I think about this map overall? Well, I think it's one of the best maps in the new Warzone era of zombies. I think it's better than all of the maps in Modern Warfare 3, it's better than all of the maps in Vanguard, and it is better than most of the maps on Cold War. I think this map is similar to Mauer Toten in where I'd put it in a tier list. I think a solid high B for this map is appropriate. It is not S tier like a lot of people are saying, and it's not D tier like the other half is saying. I think it's super solid, but it does nothing extraordinary to get my attention. This map has a solid layout, the swords are really fun to use, as well as its traps and fast travels. But the things holding this map back, like the story and the lack of originality with boss zombies, really makes this map just not stand out at all. If I'm being honest with you guys, this video took so long to make, and it's not because it was a hard video to make. I just haven't had fun with BO6. Treyarch and Activision have been making a ton of bad decisions, which has made me not want to play the game at all. So much so that I'm uploading this video days before DLC 2 comes out. I can't promise that I'm gonna make a review on that map, but if I decide to do so, I will hopefully have it come out in a timely manner. If you made it to the end of the video, make sure to type Citadelle Day More is an S tier map in the comments. And under that, let me know how you thought of the review and what I can improve on in the comments. Thank you everyone, have a good one.